a little bit about our speaker today, Adam Lewinberg. He is the president and CEO of Postal Advocate, Inc., the only mail audit and recovery firm in the U.S. and Canada. We manage a portfolio of over 160,000 pieces of mailing and shipping equipment for the largest U.S. companies. He speaks and teaches nationally on mail savings and industry trends. He is also the former industry co-chair of the Boston Postal Customer Council and also a member of the Mail Systems Management Associations with certifications in CMDSS and MDC. He is also a featured writer for Mailing Systems Technology magazine and also worked for one of the largest mailing vendors for over 17 years as the director of national sales for Presort, tabletop inserters, addressing hardware, software, and green offerings. He was also one of the top 5 account managers nationally working with some of the nation's top accounts. Postal Advocate is not affiliated with any mailing vendors, so we offer unbiased advice. Over to you, Adam.
Thanks, Doris. So we're in crazy times, obviously. I mean, most of us are working from home. Hopefully, most of you are at home today as you're doing this call. My company, actually, we all work from home, and we've always been that way. So we're very comfortable in this environment. It's frankly not that much different for us. But obviously, this is a very trying time for everyone that puts people under a lot of stress. So the realities, though, of this is that people are going home to work, and many are going to stay there. So they're going to stay there for a bunch of reasons. One is reduced real estate costs. Companies are going to see that people can be effective working from home, and they're going to like the savings that brings. Happier staff, improved morale, less commuting time. I mean, nobody wants to spend 1 to 2 hours a day commuting back and forth to work. More control over schedules, better work-family balance. There's been some studies, reduced attrition, 95% of employees state that teleworking has a high impact on employee retention. Reduced unscheduled absences. The American Management Association claims that 63% of reduction in unscheduled absences because employees can be more in control of their own schedule. So there's increases in productivity, and there's better for the environment because we're not driving and polluting with our cars. So, but the most important thing is because everyone had to scramble to get all these workers effective and productive working from home, the infrastructure is set up. So with that infrastructure set up, people aren't going to want to go back to being in an office 5 days a week. And we all know that, right? I mean, there's nothing that anyone can say that disputes that we think in 3 months, everyone's going to be back in an office working. That's just not what's going to happen in the future. But with that, there are challenges. Like, how do you manage the mail and shipping operations for companies where people are scattered? So people are working not just from home, they're working from small offices, they're working while traveling in different locations. They're using multiple technologies, from the carriers, for the mail vendors, to be able to mail and send things. Most organizations don't have a consolidated visibility to where all this spend is. It's usually very fragmented across an organization, and costs are going up. Every year the post office has increases, UPS and FedEx has annual increases, labor costs go up. So how do you manage all these things, especially with more and more people working remotely? So what we're going to cover in this is what technologies are available to support mobile workforces, and what are the latest and greatest that you can implement, what's happening with them, how do they work, what are the trends. So the core of this is solutions need to have certain criteria. You need to be able to access the information electronically through the cloud. We need to be able to send mail and packages from any computer. Like, we can't have a lot of infrastructure installed. We need to make it simple and with internet-based connections. We need to control where items print and what way the recipient receives the information. Does the recipient want to get paper, email, fax, text? We have to control the incoming mail, including how to electronically route that to the right department. If people aren't in offices, how do we make sure that all the things that we're sending, that are being sent into our main offices, gets routed to the right place? They have to be simple to implement and maintain with limited to no IT resources, and we have to have the ability to control the users and have visibility across all the locations. But most importantly, these solutions have to save money with a positive return on investment. Just having these things alone may not be enough. It has to show a way, there has to be a way to show that these save money. And we're going to talk about all those items today. So first off, what's free from the USPS that you can implement today with ease? I mean, with nothing. Anybody can do this. You can do this at any time. So if you need to order stamps, you can go to USPS.com and there's a postal store. And with 5 to 7 day delivery, you can order stamp sheets like the ones you see here. It's $1.30 minimum shipping and handling charges, and you can order stamps. We'll show you reasons why this might not be the best way to distribute funds. One being, the time delivery, not always having the right denominations, and maybe a lack of control. Also today, there's no enterprise options on that, and we'll talk more about enterprise options and why that's important. But at a bare minimum, if you need stamps, there's a way to do it. You can order mailing supplies shipped for free. So if you need boxes, envelopes, tools for you to be able to facilitate USPS packages being sent from your office, you can go to their website and they will ship you for free any supplies that you want. They offer a tool called Click and Ship, where you can generate 4x6 shipping labels online for your packages. You only get retail rates, and we'll talk more about the retail versus the commercial rates because there's a big difference in those. But if you need to send a post office package, there's a way to do it online. They have a service called Everyday Direct Mail, which if you want to send generic advertising content out to a general area, like you can see these examples below, you can do that. Basically, the way it works is the pieces are addressed. You type in zip code areas or ranges or criteria for your mailing in a specific geographic area, and then you can upload your art to their website, and then there are multiple printers that they have online that can facilitate getting these pieces sent out. But it's very easy and very inexpensive. They have a premium forwarding service for commercial mail. So you can basically, let's say you've got small remote offices that mail is going to, but there's no one at those offices now because everyone's working remote for the next month. Well, you can set up a premium forwarding service that can forward that mail from those locations in basically a post office priority express envelope to where it needs to go. And maybe that's a central facility where you have a skeleton crew that has the capabilities to route it correctly or do something with it. But at least there is a way to make sure mail isn't piling up in empty offices. And then the USPS has a business customer gateway, which is one website, they've made huge strides in this, where you can control all of your relationships with the post office in one place. So all of your permit accounts, your business reply accounts, your shipping accounts, all these tools that we showed above can all be controlled through the USPS business gateway. So one login can control all your access points. So they've made huge strides in what's available. So all these things are available, you can use them, and there's no long-term commitments or contracts and things like that, and want to make sure they at least as a baseline know what's available. Now, the most common remote mailing solution that we're seeing is PC Postage. And what PC Postage is being able to print shipping labels and postage stamps from your computer in the denomination you want at the lowest prices and with the most flexibility. So you could order stamps from the post office, but they won't be in the amounts you want, in the batch sizes you want, and it won't allow you to get certain discounts, which we'll talk about. So how does it work? It's typically a subscription model. You pay a certain monthly cost to a provider. You can print from any computer with an internet connection and either a local or a network printer. And there's two types of things you print. You either print shipping labels or postage stamps. So for shipping labels, you're going to print 4x6 shipping labels, and you can either print them on regular paper, and you can tape it to the item, or you can use a label-ope. And the label-ope is one of those envelopes with a glassine window, and you slide the sheet of paper in. Probably see that more with UPS or FedEx. There's Avery type labels that can be purchased from your office supply store. It doesn't have to be Avery, that's just one vendor. There's usually generic shipping labels they have from Staples and the other office supply stores. But people are more familiar with Avery. For postage stamps, you can either print directly onto the envelope, and you could print just the postage. You could print the postage and the destination address in one pass, or postage, destination address, and the return address, and potentially even a logo or graphic all in one pass. The reason some people don't use this option is because not everyone's comfortable feeding envelopes through their local printer. Some printers work easier than others to do that. The most common option is people printing stamp sheets. So they get these sheets of stamps like you see in this image here, and you order them from the PC Postage provider, and the stamp sheets are going to have serial numbers on the stamp sheet. And what that's important is, let's say you want to print 5 stamps today, you would print 5 stamps at a certain denomination, and then the next time you use that sheet, because the system knows the serial number of that sheet, it automatically starts printing from the 6th position. And so it's a great way to be able to control what's being printed without worrying about printing in the wrong label position. Then there's vendor-provided label printers that can be ordered, and we see that it's not the most common, but they're there if people need them. So PC Postage is the fastest growth segment in the mailing industry for the following reasons. It's inexpensive compared to postage meter technologies. Typical cost range is $10 to $30 per month. It's cloud-based. It can be accessed by any device as long as you have an internet connection and a printer. It's easy to deploy. So the typical process is you sign up, and within a week you receive your login credentials, a scale, and some starter labels. And then there's online tutorials to get started. There are even YouTube videos that you can watch, but it's pretty self-explanatory. You can usually figure it out in about 10 or 15 minutes at the most to get up and running with PC Postage. It gives you visibility to the history and package statuses of all of your past shipments. And depending on the system, it may go back, 90 days, it might go back a year, 2 years, depending on the system. But the beauty of it is you get to see your history of everything that was printed on the platform. And if you wanted to see if items got tracked or if they've been delivered, you can see those as well. Some systems are going to have the option for you to print UPS and FedEx from the same platform. And then there's significant postage savings, which we're going to go through. Some newer postage meters actually come with PC Postage options because the postage savings are so great. So let's talk about what these savings are. So a 1-ounce letter, if you were to buy a stamp from the post office, like we showed before, it's 55 cents is the cost of a stamp. If you run it through a postage meter or a PC Postage, it's 50 cents. It's a 5 cent savings. The largest savings the post office has offered to be able to use this type of technology. Some PC Postage tools have certified mail with electronic return receipt, which saves $1.15 for the electronic return receipt version, plus the 5 cents for the extra postage. If you're sending first-class parcel out, because you're submitting first-class parcel, priority mail, and express mail, because you're sending the transaction electronically to the Postal Service, they're willing to give you commercial rates versus retail rates. And the difference is significant. So if you just slap on a meter tape on a priority mail piece, you get the retail rate. If you go to the post office door, if you walk to the post office and you fill out a priority mail label, you get the retail rate. Even if you use the click and ship free post office tool that we showed earlier, that's the retail rate. The commercial rates are significantly less, as you can see here. So with first class parcels, they range from about 25 to 55% less. Priority mail is 4 to 40% less, and priority mail express is 11 to 13% less. So you can see it's significant discounts that they're getting because the post office wants to incentivize people to present all this information to them electronically so they can track it through their systems and provide a higher level of service and be more competitive with the other carriers. So cloud-based enterprise options for PC Postage. So it's basically the same as the single site PC Postage, but it offers the following benefits by being able to control it under a central administration license. So let's talk about what are those benefits. So simplicity of onboarding new users. So from the central administration dashboard, you can basically send an invite to someone that you want to register. They'll get a welcome email, and then they can be set up. You can add and remove users with ease. You can report on all locations user activities from a central dashboard. So when I want to do my monthly accounting reports, I can export out all the details. I can see what classes of mail people are using. I can control the user access. So this could be not only controlling the users that can get onto the system, but what can they do in the system? Can they order supplies? What is the maximum amount I want them to print? Do they have to enter cost centers? And then some systems have single sign-on, and single sign-on allows you to link to an Active Directory you may have inside your organization to eliminate them needing to do some sort of password management. So we recommend organizations that have 10 or more locations using an enterprise PC Postage version, because to control individual licenses becomes problematic. You have no visibility at a central level on what the individual licensors are doing. You're relying on those individual users managing it on their own, and that creates problems as you have more and more users. MultiCarrier enterprise mail and shipping tools. Okay, so they're similar to enterprise PC Postage tools, but they focus more on shipping. So they have more robust rate shopping between the carriers and service levels. So they will allow you to rate shop packages from the post office, DHL, UPS, FedEx, could be other like local couriers in some cases. So it's a lot more robust in their rate shopping than just being able to click on a carrier and do rates from there. And you can create rules that can be automatically enforced. So just some examples of rules that someone might want to set up is Maybe you don't want everyone in your organization shipping 8:30 a.m. delivery, which costs an extra $25. Maybe you want them, only certain levels in your organization have the authority to do that. Or maybe intercompany shipments, you want to default to 2-day or to ground levels. Or maybe you want to make sure that certain locations are assigned to certain carrier account numbers, like certain locations are assigned or certain division is assigned to a specific UPS or FedEx account number. You can create those rules in these multi-carrier enterprise shipping systems because that's what they're designed to do. They have more robust user management and reporting options. You can get much more granular in the way that you can access information. They'll have enhanced single sign-on, including helping you get it set up versus just giving you some instructions that you can use. And some systems provide the option to print postage stamps on the same platform as packages. So let's talk about why that last piece is important. This has always been the craziest thing to me. We work with a lot of huge corporations that have hundreds, in some cases thousands of locations. And in many of those organizations, it's easier for a person to send an $8 overnight item than a 50-cent letter. And so you ask the question of why? So let's talk about how this works in most organizations. So most companies are going to have, they're going to use a free carrier provided tool. Some of the more automated ones are going to have these new multi-carrier shipping tools, but most are still defaulting to the free systems like UPS Campus Ship and FedEx.com. They use this because it's simple to use, defined process across the whole organization, the way that they ship. They can control the user accesses, but it's obviously only for that one carrier and it's geared to making it easier for that carrier. So all users can ship from any location at any time, including home office users and traveling users. All charges are summarized and by cost centers, downloadable into Excel, and they can upload them to charge them back. And it's easy for them to manage all their shipping spends across an enterprise, albeit just from that one carrier. Now let's think about how that same thing works for a stamp. So there's multiple ways to process mail, and it's really based on the type of technology you have in that office. So you have postage meters. In some sites, you have PC Postage in others. And then in many organizations, especially for all these home office users that we're dealing with now, we're sort of requiring them to purchase stamps. So there's no defined process or rules or structure across an organization of how everyone's supposed to do it because most companies aren't that organized. Then the location determines how mail gets processed by what they just happen to have for technology. And since the majority of locations, especially these home office users don't have anything, they're forced to drive to the post office and purchase stamps. They may not be able to have the correct denomination stamps. They may not have electronic scales. They may not have expense accounts in which they can, or credit cards that they can even purchase stamps. And so getting reimbursed for those stamps is incredibly difficult. So for all those reasons, in many organizations, people say, well, I'll just send it out I'll send it out UPS or FedEx or DHL because it's easier. And that's creating the wrong behavior. It's making it where someone's defaulting to an $8 item instead of a 50-cent letter, mainly because they don't have any capabilities to send a stamp, which is crazy. So these systems make it easier to manage those types of activities because from one platform, you can do all of these things. You can compare rates between the carriers, and then you can drive people to making the right decisions at the point of time when they need to make the decision for that particular package or item. Remote printing. So remote workers, mostly working out of their homes, don't have the ability really to send out mailings. They don't have equipment, they don't have technology, they might not have the expertise, and they certainly don't have the time to do these things manually. So they need online tools to print larger volume documents, and they need to be able to send those jobs to locations with the proper staff and technology. So luckily, there's been tremendous developments in this area. And it's done through online tools that basically create a virtual print driver, or there'd be a customized integration for larger jobs. So let's just talk about that point. So a virtual print driver. So I want to go print a regular document to my printer. I hit File, Print, and then I see a picture of the different printers. I select the one that comes up. Maybe it tells me if I want to print both double-sided or it's very basic print driver, and I hit Print, and it goes to the printer. These virtual print drivers, what they do is they're more geared for mailings. So they're going to say, okay, where's the core document you want to send? What type of envelope? What kind of folds do you want to do? Where's the address on the main document? And they allow you to control what other inserts need to happen. So they allow you to control what is being printed in that document. And then where do you want to send that document? And is that document being sent to an on-site production facility where maybe there's the software, where they have the software and the equipment and the workforce to control this? Or is it a professional mail service provider that is being sent to that has, that this is all they do. They are professional mail houses that this is what they do. They have the equipment and staff and technology. And these services, where it used to be where it would be a lot of integration in order to get a mailing sent off-site, now through these types of driver technologies, it's really simple. Now, clearly, some print jobs, like maybe if you're sending like your huge statement run at the end of the month, could be bigger. There are custom interfaces or different ways that those files can be uploaded, set up and uploaded. But the main point is the technology around this is made simple. There are subscription models or pay-per-use models, and there's just a lot of increased flexibility in this. It also doesn't have to be large mailings. It could be even day-to-day type work that could be sent through these flows. So the benefits of remote printing is flexibility with the output. The newest tools give you the flexibility in how the item's sent. They can include paper, electronic, email, fax, text. There could be remote storage. There could be remote hosting of the data. So you're sending an email with a link that basically drives the person to a place where the data is stored. It moves mail faster from a centralized automated process. So if you're trying to do these mailings, whether it's, you're working from home or even if you're in a small office without a lot of equipment, it's certainly more efficient to be able to send that mailing to a place that has the right capabilities. Mail tracking, all mail that goes out of these services or these central repositories is typically going to have some sort of postal tracking barcode on the piece that allows you to see when the piece was sent out, what stage is it in the mail stream and was it delivered. Documents are archived for retrieval in a central repository. Paper-based mailings, there's just no controls over them. By running it through this type of process, there's an archive with, in some cases, an image of what documents were sent out with the history of those pieces. And most importantly, postage discounts. So as you can see from the chart below, when you move mail from single piece rates to automation rates that either these central facilities or outside providers would have, there's huge savings. So let's look at the difference. So let's say I want to send out just a 1 ounce envelope, the most common thing. It's 55 cents if I use retail, it's 50 cents if I have some sort of metering or PC postage technology. But if I use one of these automated services, I'm going to either get the pre-sort or the first-class mail type rates that bring the 50-cent piece down to 42 to 46 or 39 to 44 cents. If I can convert that piece to marketing mail, because it's generic in its correspondence, it's 26 to 30 cents. And if I'm a nonprofit, that same generic piece could be 14 to 18 cents a piece. The other benefit with it is when you run through the pre-sort of the automation classes, you get up to 3.5 ounces of mail at the 1 ounce rate. So a piece that a 3 ounce newsletter that you're sending, in your office for 80 or 85 cents might go down to 42, could be as little as, 39 to 42 cents to send out. And again, with marketing mailings, you can see it's lower, and if you're a nonprofit. So there's huge postage savings. There's one of the main reasons to do it. But the other is just in the pure efficiency. The labor savings of doing these things in an automated factory is just huge. People don't realize how much work it takes to get out small mailings, but it's an incredible amount from the printing to the folding and inserting to the checking to the labeling to the sealing. It's a lot of work. These systems can make it easy. And people working from home, frankly, are not going to have any capabilities to even be doing smaller jobs. Incoming mail. So if staff is working remotely, how are they going to receive any incoming mail that's essential to their business? Are we going to overnight all the mail to their homes? So if we think about the traditional process, what happens? So letter mail and paper documents are received in a company. They're sorted in bins based on the departments or the routes that they're going. Someone takes it in a cart and delivers it to the people or departments they're going. They're put into a specific place in that department, and then someone has to action those pieces. They have to maybe key in information from them, maybe they have to open them, maybe they have to scan the documents into the site, maybe they have to document the respondents in their systems. So there's been a huge move in what is the industry term is really called digital mail. And that's how you want to think about it. The remote mailroom, digital mail, these terms are used uniformly. So mail is coming in from different document sources. It's coming in maybe in a physical piece of mail. Maybe it's an email server that we want to be able to control the emails that are coming through. Maybe it's a fax server, so we want to be able to control what faxes are coming in. So let's just talk about the physical piece. So how does it work? So the physical piece, the documents are scanned, and there are now high-speed scanners, depending on your volumes, that can not only extract the document from the envelope, it can scan the front of the document, it can scan the documents itself, and it can then sort it to where, and there could also be sort bins that go. There are all different levels of extracting and scanning technology that's available. Then it gets, as it's scanned, it's turned into an OCR readable document. And from that, specific things in the document can control that to see what needs to happen to it. So there's two sort of core types of mailings that come through an organization. And I would say 80% of it are going to be core items that support the ongoing function of the organization. So let's call it, invoices, checks, human resource respondents to marketing offers, things that support the general business function. Well, if those documents are scanned, they can then have certain markings that can be searched for, and those can be automatically routed to the department they're going to. And then the other pieces could be items that are going to a specific person, let's say, as an example, or a department. And then what's great about that is they could go directly, if they're scanned electronically, there could be a picture of the piece that comes up with an email to you, and that email says, what do you want to do with this piece? Do you want us to forward this physical piece to you? Do you just want to have the electronic image? Do you want it disposed of? Do you want it moved someplace else? And the user can control where that piece goes throughout the organization based on being able to see an image of it. So it's an incredible savings, and you can see when you have all these remote workers, they're going to need tools to be able to control all these pieces that come in. And then what's great about it is rules like marketing mailings that maybe we don't need in our organization because it's just from unsolicited offers, could be disposed of. Certain things can be automatically filed and accessed, and you can create those rules. So in this digital mail transformation, there are certain benefits. So the first is it reduces the delivery cost of the physical pieces of mail. By not having to truck physical pieces of mail all throughout your organization, there's a savings of it. There's a faster response to the incoming items. So example would be responding to customer requests for information. So let's say you do a marketing mailing and people respond back and they say, yes, I'm interested. The sooner you get those responses loaded into your system and are able to respond to them, the sooner you're going to be able to get sales and new customers. There's visibility to the data analytics, what's being received for improved tracking. So most organizations don't have a lot of analytics on what things are coming in, especially in a paper form to their organization. Most people don't track it. It just is what it is. By having this sort of electronic process, you can manage the workflows better and have visibility to what changes are occurring. Elimination of data entry of information because it can be received electronically. So let me give you an example of a use case, and it's just one. So a lot of organizations get a lot of returned as undeliverable mail. So if you look at these yellow stickers that are sitting here, you get a lot of mail that comes back because it was the wrong address. So in most organizations, those pieces get sorted in the mailroom, brought back to the department that originally generated the mail. They sit in a bin for a while till someone has time, and then someone keys into this information into their system to do some other function. So maybe that's creating a change of address form. Maybe it's validating with the customer about what their address was in some way before you can physically change it, or maybe it's just automatically changing in your system. With these types of digital mail systems, when those pieces come in as a deliverable, they can be automatically scanned in. The addresses, the previous addresses can be put into a database format that can either be uploaded into your system, or certain actions could automatically be taken, or just so it doesn't have to be key entered into your system. So you can see there can be lots of efficiencies that can be created on these types of platforms. So there's two core models for implementing these types of solutions. So you can buy the scanners and the software and you can run it with existing staff. So that's one model. Or there are professional firms who specialize in managing this. And these professional firms could manage it on site in your office, or they could manage it at a central offsite facility that does the scanning and routing for you. But there's lots of options in this. If you're getting a lot of mail that comes in and you have needs for your remote workers to be able to access that mail, there are great tools that are now available to be able to set this up. So let's talk about some best practices. So what we recommend is enterprise options should be used where possible to give you room to grow and expand. If you have a lot of single site options, it's difficult for you to be able to control it from any sort of usable way. It's just sort of an option you provide as something for the users, and they can use it, but there's no way to manage it. there needs to be some analysis done to justify these solutions, which involve getting details to data that may not be readily available. So things like, what are the mail volumes, package spends, what are the savings areas, what are the problems inside the operations? So, you know, if you can either have people in your team who are educated in this, who can collect this data. This is some of the work that we do, is we help our clients pull all this stuff to get together into some sort of central way to manage it, to look at it, and to be able to make an informed decision on what are the right solutions. Support needs during the implementation phase. Most organizations are going to need some sort of support, and this may be beyond what the vendors are going to provide. And that could be things like making sure users are using this, or are trained on the system effectively. Have they done their first jobs using the tools? Like, how are they accessing the tools? Does extra training need to be implemented to help support people? What reporting do we have that everybody's on board? And then there usually needs to be some sort of ongoing support that needs to manage the administration aspects of these systems. So the things could be, who's going to be the first responder when there are questions? Can you call the vendor for that, or should there be someone on site, inside your organization that can answer those questions? Who's going to manage the user administration, things like password resets, access to tools, things that people need, changing, logging new account numbers, adding, removing users, that sort of thing. The reporting on activities and spends. There needs to be some reporting for chargeback purposes, making sure people, that it's set up right, that it's run in regular intervals, and that the basic use is being monitored. And then there needs to be some sort of billing validation of the system's usage and, and charges. So you're going to get bills from the vendors on what the charges are. You're going to get carrier spends that are going to run through these things, that need to be charged back. There needs to be some way to validate it, format it in a certain way, and get those charges uploaded to your system so they can be charged back. So in summary, more and more people are going to be working remote. I mean, I think it's very difficult to dispute that fact. Most of us are home, working out of our home offices. Many of us really enjoy it. I'm sure not one of us is wearing a suit or dressed up today. And, frankly, probably many of us may not even be showered. And people like that. They like working at home from the comfort and to be in control of their own schedule. Cloud-based tools are going to be needed to support their mail and shipping needs. Like, it's inevitable, people are going to need ways to mail and ship through the cloud. PC Postage can provide a way to mail from anywhere with an internet connection and a printer. It provides the most flexibility to be able to maintain operations and be able to get those convenience day-to-day items and even smaller to mid-sized jobs out the door. MultiCarrier tools are available to rate shop at the lowest cost to send. And every year, the carrier costs are going up, and the fees and accessorial costs are going up. And the more tools you can have to give the end user the ability to make the right decision of the lowest cost for when they need something delivered, the more you're going to be able to control your carrier expenses. The enterprise versions are available to manage the users on a single platform, makes things easy. It allows you to control and grow the platforms to more users. Larger mailings can be routed to on-site or off-site production facilities with the proper equipment and staff. Incoming digital mail solutions move paper electronically so it can be actioned quickly. And you can just imagine, with all of us working remote, we're going to need different solutions. And all of these solutions, hopefully you can see, create efficiencies and savings. If they don't create efficiencies and savings, they don't make sense. But there's a hard ROI in each one of these based on what's being done today. And especially as we go more and more remote, they're going to be more and more cost justified. So this is what we do. All that we do is we help customers around their mail and shipping spends. And if you need help from the experts, we can be here for you. We average 58% savings on their mail equipment side. We average $1.6 million of savings for our clients. We're managing the largest mailing fleet probably in the world of about 160,000 pieces of equipment, including thousands of PC Postage licenses we're managing for our clients. Most of our team has been in the mailing industry for years. We have 175 years of experience, and we provide web-based tools to manage the visibility across all these platforms to show you what things are happening inside your organization. So our clients are every industry. It doesn't necessarily make any difference what industry they are. It just matters that they're large organizations with lots of locations, and our clients range from having 10 locations to multiple thousands of locations where we're supporting their users. And what we do for our clients is, at no cost, our obligation. We do an analysis of your spends to show you where some of these savings exist. We can turn these analysis around quickly and with very little work on your side besides signing a letter of authority and providing us some copies of invoices as an example, and we can pull the entire thing together for you. We will build out visibility to where your spends are, postage spends, shipping spends, where the holes are that you might need inside your organization. We'll conduct the analysis, and from there, when we're done with that, we ask that you can look at it and say, do I need help? And from the analysis, it usually is pretty clear cut whether you do or you don't. And then if you decide to move forward, we'll submit all these credits, we'll manage these spend categories and drive the savings and quantify the savings for you. And then we'll manage it on a web dashboard so you can see access to all the activities we've done, and we provide ongoing support because most of the time there are transactions that are going to happen throughout time as people do mergers, acquisitions, contracts expire, where they're going to need continual support, especially in large organizations. But this is all we do, and if you need help from the experts, we think that we can be there, and hopefully it'll be helpful to have an analysis done. There's no cost or obligation, and then if you decide to move forward, most of our agreements are on contingency based, so if we don't save you any money, there's no cost or risk. So hopefully you can see from this session, we're a firm believer in education. The best way for people to know what's available is for us to teach them about what's available in the marketplace. So there are some new sessions coming up in May and June. In May, the top 10 ways to optimize your USPS permanent accounts. There's a lot of savings that can be had in permanent accounts, especially around business reply, where we find lots of organizations have things set up in the wrong account levels that in some cases is costing thousands more than they need to. And then how to save money across your carrier management services across your enterprise. So a deeper dive into some of those enterprise rate shopping systems, what savings are available for you to be able to look at that these systems can provide, and just how to reduce carrier-based expenses across an enterprise. And you can register at postaladvocate.com for any of those sessions. So first off, I want to thank everybody for coming today. I want to open it up to any questions, and hopefully this information was helpful. So Doris, I'll open it up.
Thank you, Adam. So just as a quick reminder on how to ask your question, you can either put up your hand and I can unmute you, or you can put your question, type your question in the chat box, and I will be able to read it out loud. So there is a question, there's a couple of questions actually. First question, which manufacturers offer the PC postage discounts with their meters?
Sure. All of the vendors are going to have some sort of PC postage tool. I'm not sure. Actually, it's not okay for me to say specific vendors on a call like this because we don't want to endorse or not endorse any specific vendors. But if you talk to your postage meter manufacturer, you'll be able to find out if there's a PC postage option that can be either added at a small price or like I said, some of them do include it in their packages. And that's going to be even within a specific vendor, it may be different based on the size of equipment that you're buying. Bigger equipment is more likely to come with it. Some of the smaller end may or may not. Newer equipment, new placements that you put in are more likely to have it than any of your existing systems. So it's just going to depend.
Thank you. Next question. What have you heard is the hardest part in implementing PC postage for all of my locations?
Sure. So the biggest challenge, so there's two types of organizations that we experience when we're implementing these solutions. And we've implemented a lot of enterprise-wide solutions. And some of our clients might have in the thousands of users on platforms. So the first is, do you have universal buy-in? Like, are you able from a central place able to make the decision for all the users? And in which case you can say, okay, this is what we're doing, and you can tell everybody what they're doing, and this is what we're using. You can send out a notice, and then everyone sort of abides. So that's option one, and that works really well. But the biggest challenge is most organizations don't work like that. And the way they work is that they have to get buy-in at a location by location basis because it's that location's budget. And so the biggest challenge is, is working location by location to try to get people to convert to this type of new technology. And that's what we find, and we end up spending lots of time, location by location, convincing people of what their options are. So I would say that's the biggest challenge. From the systems themselves, they're pretty easy. Once the decision is made and once they're okay to be implemented, implementing them is very quick.
Thank you. Another question. Can you give more information about single sign-on related to these types of solutions?
Sure. So single sign-on is really, I mean, a lot of organizations are going to use it for other facets, but one of the hard things about, whether it's these enterprise shipping or PC postage tools is you have all these users that are in your system. And the same thing holds if you're using UPS, Campus Ship, or FedEx.com, which don't have a single sign-on option. So the issue is, like, what happens when new employees come on board, old employees leave the company? So it requires someone to administer adding and removing those users. And so that's really difficult. And most organizations, we find, never remove anybody. They just leave them in, which is a liability, because what if that person no longer is employed and they go to a UPS store or a FedEx Kinko's and they know that account number from their previous work and they ship items under your account number? Well, you have really no controls because you can't lock them out of the system. Well, with single sign-on, you can control what users have access and what users don't. And so, and you don't have to physically manage it. Your Active Directory that is linked to your employee history tells the system what employees are active and what aren't, and those that aren't, are automatically kicked out of the system. And as a new employee is added today, they're automatically able to, and they don't usually have to enter a username and password in the system in order to ship. As soon as they log in, as soon as they click on the link to the application, the system knows who they are, and they're automatically logged in, because and that assumes obviously that they're on your network.
Great. Any other questions?
So we're perfect on time today. So I want to thank everybody. I hope everyone gets to enjoy having lunch at their own homes, and that you're enjoying working remotely. So thanks everyone for being on the call today.